Born in Arkansas, a SigEp in Missouri, you are a career Marine who defines the word leadership. Director of the Sea School, commander of battalions in Lebanon and during Desert Shield and Desert Storm, president of the Marine Corps University, commander of the 1st Marine Division, commanding general of the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force during 2 combat tours in Iraq, and, since last November, the 34th Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. You were graduated with honors from the Basic School, the Army Infantry Officers Advanced Course, the Marine Corps Command and Staff College, and the Air War College. Yes, honors every time. The Marine Corps is also a Conway family affair. Your 2 sons are active duty Marine officers, and your daughter is married to a Marine pilot. You and your wife Annette live in the Marine Commandant's home, built more than 200 years ago, and the oldest continuously inhabited residence in Washington, older even than the White House and the Capitol. Your leadership earned you the Defense Distinguished Service Medal with Palm, the Navy Distinguished Service Medal, the Legion of Merit, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, the Navy Commendation Medal, the Navy Achievement Medal, the Combat Action Ribbon, and tonight, your fraternity's highest honor for career achievement, the Sigma Phi Epsilon Citation. We salute you, Brother James T. Conway. Semper Fi.
Colonel Lanham. Tell Bob Lanham. Tell Bob Lanham, come up here.
Thanks for that great introduction, Rick. My mother would be delighted with that introduction. My mother-in-law would still be skeptical, but that's another story. Folks, the organizers tonight asked me to look at those things that I experienced as a member of Sigma Phi Epsilon that have carried over into my experience as a Marine. And there are 2 or 3 that I would offer to you tonight. First, you might be surprised to hear that my initial entry into raid planning wasn't as a lieutenant of Marines, it was as a SigEp pledge. We discovered at my campus that Tau Kappa Epsilon, who was known to drink a lot of beer, were having their parties in this dry creek bed. And their method of operation was to be with their dates until about 11 o'clock. And then they would leave to take their dates home, maybe save just 2 or 3 who would stay there and sort of guard the facility. We resolved that we should relieve them of their kegs. And so we developed a raid party. And the intent, the concept of operations, to use a military term, was that we would wait until most were away taking the dates home. We would approach from about 4 different directions, bundle them up with tape, and then take their kegs, use them for the rest of the weekend. Now, we were going to be chivalrous about it. We were going to drop them off Sunday night so they didn't lose their deposit. But we also were going to be gruesome. We were going to tape their eyebrows with duct tape so that when they took it off, we'd know who they were and could make fun of them for the next couple of weeks. Well, we got together one Friday afternoon about 3:30 or so, organized our plan, took a couple of hours, and by 5:30 we were ready to go. The problem was we weren't to launch until 10:30. So for about 5 hours, we sipped our own beer. And the fact is, I said it was a raid plan, not a raid. The fact is, at 10:30, We were only mildly interested in teak beer at that point because ours was in surplus and nobody was in any condition to leave that set of quarters. So what I learned from that was time management. And reverse planning. So both valuable lessons to take into my career as a Marine. I learned camaraderie in SigEp, and there's tremendous camaraderie in the band of brothers who are Marine officers. I'm convinced, looking back on it now, that your best friendships, your strongest friendships, are those that are formed early, that come as a result of successes and failures and just entrenchments that you have as young men. But we also learned a lesson in my chapter. We had a terrible disease rise up and take one of our brothers. And that was just not supposed to happen. We were 19, 20, 21 years old. The world was at our doorstep. And that was a jolt to us, but it was real, it was life. And it's an adjustment that you make and then you go on. I learned leadership in the fraternity. President of my chapter and president of the IAC. I had the opportunity to try to mold diverse types of folks for a single purpose. Learn the value of integrity as a leader, probably the most important value that any leader can have. Your word is your bond. Your handshake is more important than your signature. And I learned leadership by example. You don't ask anyone to do something that you're not willing to do, whether it's in a fraternity or whether it's in the Marine Corps. There's a gentleman out there named Zell Miller, former Marine sergeant in the late 50s, but more importantly, the governor of the great state of Georgia and a political leader in our country. He wrote a book that said that everything he needed to know in life he learned in boot camp. Ladies and gentlemen, I would simply paraphrase Governor Miller this evening and say that virtually everything I needed to know about leadership in the United States Marine Corps, I learned as a part of Sigma Phi Epsilon. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you tonight.